Welcome to Apex Legends. For you that are not familiar, this is the new game that just came out from Respawn. It's a battle royale based in the Titanfall universe. It is a spin-off, not so much a continuation of the game. So for those of you who followed the main franchise, you're going to see a lot of similarities, but this is going to be a completely new experience. Or maybe it's going to be more so like a deja vu. Like, have I done this before? Because some things are going to feel very familiar. However, what you're going to notice is that the mechanics are quite different from one game to the other, yet there is things that actually cross over. But for the hardcore Titanfall community, what we wanted to know was, is there going to be bunny hopping and is there going to be wall running? This is their version of a grappling hook slingshot and then into a slide. In Titanfall 2, you can do this slide and continue it even on flat ground as bunny hops and air strafes. In this game, well, you guys are going to see some examples soon, it is not quite the same. Now, one of the other things that I saw that crossed over were a lot of the weapons. You can see things like the Mastiff, the Kraber, the R301 now, and I knew that's what it was going to be called when I thought it was coming into Titanfall 3. Like, this is the staple gun of Titanfall. Funny enough, by the way, the devotion in this game is like the devotion when Titanfall 2 first came out. For those of you who weren't there, it was ridiculously good. That was my Gravity Star boost, so that's something that did not cross over. But I'll be honest, it's not like I had high expectations for it to work. Because you have to remember that I want to call this Titanfall Apex Legends, but they're trying to reinvent themselves and distance themselves from the original. They took out the key elements, the mechs, as well as the mobility. And from what I've seen, it could have easily been implemented into this game, as I'm going to show you. So a basic feature in this game that I found right away, and they wanted you to know right away, is that you can slide really well in this game without having to do all that much. You literally just need to crouch and you will slide down any kind of incline. This is my first attempts at bunny hopping. This is the first thing I wanted to know. And the timing seemed weird to me, and that's because I don't have a double jump, which means that you always have to space it out at that first jump. And this is actually quite hard to do. I could not do this consistently. I think I did this run for like 10 minutes, and I noticed that if you hit a little bit of an incline, it did make it easier again. But how useful is this? Again, that's something that needs to be determined. It depends on how good you can actually do this and what influences it. Because I found that my timing, it was not super consistent. So when I was actually doing it in the world, and depending on the terrain, it could be harder or easier. If you have a hill to work with, sometimes you have to ask yourself, is it just easier for you to just let yourself slide instead of trying to chain it into a weird bunny hop? I still get a kick out of the grappling hook. It's a lot different, there's no doubt about it. But before we move on to the grappling hook, let me just say this one thing about the bunny hops. I think they're somewhat useful, but what I found is that usually you can chain together 4 of them. 3 to 4 is super consistent. You can do 3 to 4 bunny hops. So you have that going for you. If you need a little bit more, I think the right way to do it is that you have to try to find a little bit of a hill in order to chain your jumps together. But even now, I'm not sure how practical that is. Like, look at the terrain here. It's almost as bad as Crash Site. So trying to do it here may not pay off as much, and any little mistake may end up setting you back more than you've gained. I don't know if this game was actually made with the idea that bunny hopping is a thing and it's really difficult. I see that I can do it. Well, I obviously just showed you these examples. But the question is it as useful as it seems? A little bit of teamwork here. Why risk it, right? So what I found about this game is that it's not nearly as fast-paced as Titanfall. I still like the arcade feel of this game. I feel that this game is really well polished. It has that big wow feeling even right off the bat as soon as you're selecting your characters. It reminds me of going to the arcade back in the day and choosing your Ninja Turtle. You know, you pick one of 4 of obviously, but it would come up like all sideways, and that's how this game comes up. And to me, it just brings me back to the arcade games. It has that feel of Killer Instinct, and I used to love seeing that game at the arcades. It just looked epic. Like, the graphics on that game looked great, and as soon as I put this game on, I thought the graphics also looked great. I think the game really pops. It's very smooth. Like, I had a really good experience. And I don't want to say this because I don't want to start talking too much about Titanfall 3 and my feelings and how hurt they are, but this is also a blow to me. It's like, this is a great game. For what it is a great BR game. But it came at the expense of Titanfall 3 to me. And it's not just me, like, it hurt me personally, obviously. but there's a whole community behind this game, and it just sucks because this is a good representation. I feel like I already know what's going on from what I played before, but it's still just a BR game. You're not going to have quite the same experience. I think that Apex Legends to Titanfall is what ODST is to Halo. You're just not a Spartan. Just like in this game, you're not a pilot. There isn't even mechs. By the way, I'm going to open up here. That's how I find it works the best. Unfortunately, you can't just jump off of it. You are completely connected to it. So usually you have to arch it. I'm still trying to manipulate the hook in order to get onto rooftops easier. I found the most consistent one is to just open up and loop into it. But I have also gotten some pretty cool moves to get onto some top of some roofs and stuff like that. I'm still just trying to make sure that it's my influence and not it just reeling me in and hitting off of structures. So I'm still trying to just figure out exactly what is influencing the hook and how much influence can I actually have on it. So the other thing that's similar in this game is the weapons. I have seen the Mozambique before. How does it handle? Well, as a BR game, it only handles as good as your mods are. Like, it influences how good your weapons are by a ton. The feel that you're going to have of a gun without good perks is going to be completely different than how it feels when it has great perks. And you should take that into account when you're selecting weapons. If you have something with more attachments, it may be a good idea to run that weapon instead of a weapon you like a little bit more, but it's lacking attachments. The Devotion with its purple attachment that makes it rev up faster is crazy. Or even just when the Devotion revs up, it's absolutely insane. It's an amazing weapon. I also noticed that the shotguns, you have to be really close up. The G2 is really good. It's probably going to be meta. It has an attachment. The longbow the longbow's back, by the way. No one else has talked about the longbow in the Titanfall universe forever. But it's back on the menu, and it's great, especially when you get a nice little scope on it. You get the attachment that does extra damage for headshots. It's great. So even though you may be familiar with the weapons of Titanfall through Titanfall 1 or Titanfall 2, each one in this game still has its own feel, so it's something that you're going to have to try out. I'm going to be making more videos for this game because it's still fresh. I'm having fun with it, but I'm still going to be doing a lot of Titanfall 2 videos as well because that's really what I enjoy. So let me just show you guys a couple of other things that I found interesting. So you hold in order to climb up structures, and I was surprised by how much you can actually climb something. They've put a lot of lips throughout a lot of the structures, like even cliffs that look like they would be unclimbable. Just by looking around a little bit and holding down the jump button once you pressed it, you will be able to climb up most of these cliffs. And if you can't quite get up there, then you can try the grappling hook if you're using Pathfinder, or you can use the zip line. I really liked Pathfinder because putting those two together in one fight makes for some really good positioning. You can use your grappling hook first and then get quick with your ultimate, and before you know it, you've repositioned twice and completely fooled the other team. I think this character is really strong, but all the other characters are really strong, like the Void character that lets you know if somebody's around you. Then there's the Medic. Like, the classes in this game, for the most part, they all sound pretty good. After that, you know, it's just basic shooting. I wish they did a little bit more with the mobility, I really do. I was surprised by how far this went as well. By the way, there is no fall damage in this game, which I think is a good thing because then it lets you play around a little bit more with the mobility without thinking you're going to just fall to your death all the time. Oh, here we go. Whee! Thanks, Respawn. So that was kind of nice. I like that you have a really good climbing ability. Like, take advantage of it, guys. If you may not think that you can climb on some of these things, but you really can. And the level even seems to have been designed for you to slide around it. And for the places that you can't slide, usually there's a zip line. So there is some mobility that has been built into the maps as well as into the characters. You have a decent bunny hop that you can run 3 to 4 times unless you get really good timing, or you can also abuse declines in order to help chain them a little bit better. You also have abilities like phase shift, you have the grappling hook. What else do you have? You have that passive where you get shot to go a little bit faster. Again, you have these zip lines. You even have the zip lines that go straight up and let you just redeploy, and then you can fly wherever you want. There is a lot of really cool things. If I was going the opposite way, I would be able to just slide down. Unfortunately, I'm going up, and the bunny hop uphill, as far as I know, does not work. They put a lot of work into this game. I was surprised that there was an auto run when I was looking at my map. Really polished game. By the way, here I'm going for another grappling hook slingshot, and I make the classic mistake of not checking my surroundings. The problem in this game is that you don't get as much control, so you really have to be mindful of what you're going to be running into. Sometimes you're going to have to aim yourself higher, lower, or you're just not going to be able to do it without risk of hitting something. So slingshot at your own risk, make sure you have enough room so you don't end up wasting it. What do I have right now? An alternator and a G7 Scout, which is practically a G2, and the alternator is still the alternator. And you just play them exactly how you would assume. If you're familiar with the Titanfall universe, you at least know the basic ranges of your guns, so that's a good place to get you started. But you're still going to want to try this out and get a feel for it because it's not like Titanfall. There are similarities, and I've shown you some of them, but you're going to notice that it's not even close to the same. Same weapons, same concepts for some of the abilities, but you're not going to get the exact same feeling. So if that's what you're looking for, you're not going to find it here. If you're not into BRs in general, you're not going to be into this one either. It is not groundbreaking BR, okay? Let's just say that right now. I'm still going to give it up to Fortnite because they have something super unique in their game, and that's the building. Titanfall, it doesn't quite have the mobility. It also doesn't have any of the Titans, so you don't even have any vehicles in this game actually. So my final thought is, what makes this game special? It's not the mobility, it's not the mechs, is it the small team battles with class-based characters? So far I'm just dazzled by how great it runs and how good it looks. By the way, this is as close as we're getting to a Titanfall drop. Close, but no. Open it up. Can one hope that it's a copy of Titanfall 3? No.